What, you or the whole store?
Nah, I'm gonna be right over here anyway.
Okay.
Oh, excuse me. But from here? Nah, I wanna just use it like this.
Okay.
And
And my daughter was born to me, so she just had that.
that,
Does anyone allergic
far
to
enough.
peanuts?
Okay.
No.
And
So if I
hold
were
on,
to eat peanuts, no one would.
because I wanna make it comfortable.
Oh, right. Almonds, I didn't even ask.
So you
It'll
can
work like that?
Yeah. Just put it up like that. Make sure you're
All right.
Yeah, my mom's the same way, but she has peanuts on her. She like her throat closes like a minute. See, that's why I asked. It's so scary.
Right here at the bottom?
She never looks to see if there's not anything to eat. I'm like, all right, Kevin's half of the floor. Kevin's organizing himself.
I'm going to start by telling a little story about how I came up with this. I'm sitting in the chair because it's going to be like I'm in my grandfather's truck. So that's why I'm sitting in the chair right now. Here we go. It's a little kid. I'm a little kid, and I'm looking around. I'm all happy because it's Sunday. It's the summertime, and I'm the only little 10-year-old that I know that can drive, because my family is farmers. And the thing is that I'm excited, I'm looking around, I'm looking everywhere, and I'm just thinking, ooh, I get to just drive. I'm the only little kid driving, and in my mind, I have everything going around. Like, yeah, I'm going to be playing, like, listen to the car, listening to music and everything else, and I'm just driving around. And we make a turn, make the last turn before we get into the field where we're supposed to start this now land. And for people that don't know what Disney is and what farming is, and what Disney is in farming aspect is that when you break up the land, just before you actually plant the seeds. So it helps you bring up all the fresh soil that's under it, that's all that's still wet and everything else. And that would take my job. I would want to dis the land, it's the easiest thing to do. And we get around the corner though, and we make the last turn, and I see the field open up. But when I see the field open up, everything changes. And what I see are layers. And I see layer upon layer upon layer, just corn, just simple corn. And I thought to myself, I said, why can't that really be a reality? And that whole day, I didn't even get to drive that day. I drove the next day. But I didn't even get to drive that day, and that picture stuck in my mind. And now I'm going to my presentation. But the thing is, when that stuck in my mind, what I do, I've always done this ever since I was younger, is when I have a dream or when I have something that sticks to my mind during the daytime, I go to sleep on it and I reflect on it before I go to sleep. And that was something I reflected on. And it brought me to an aspect of where that I figured out that there's a such thing that I can create, which is called greenhouses. And these greenhouses are basically an attempt to help provide food around the world. And that's why I want to start with this category right here. This side right here, population by category. Around the world, 10% of the people live on islands. Now, it may not seem like a lot, but you have to think. An island is not like a continent. An island can only sustain a certain amount of people. Like, that is the very first aspect we have to understand, that people that live on islands can't even have families and everything else like they want to have. Here we can easily have 6 to 10 family members with no power because we have so much land, we have so much earth that we can cultivate and everything else. So, that is one important number, 650 million people. It's close to 1 billion people on this earth that live on islands. And you wonder, if you ever lived on an island, or if you ever lived somewhere like that, the cost of living is so much higher. And it's not fair that these people that live on islands, cost of living has to be that high. The next number is an unbalanced island. Malnourished. What this means is that nearly 1 billion people in the world live off just a drink of water, or might live off just some unhealthy food that you don't even necessarily get. This malnourishment number means that people aren't getting a proper diet. They might just be eating crackers all day long, or they might just be eating, sloppy food, or just some sloppy seconds that you get out of a restaurant or something like that, which is unhealthy. They don't get to eat fresh bananas and fresh vegetables like we do here, living on the continent, on the mainland. This next number, extreme poverty. Extreme poverty is people that live off $1 $1.25 a day. That means you have to divide $1.25 up 3 ways. That's less than 75 cents for every meal that people live off of. That's nothing. I mean, you couldn't even go to McDonald's for 75 cents and get yourself a hamburger or a dollar sandwich or anything like that. That alone is $1.25 a day. 1.29 billion people live off that a day in this country, or in this world. More than $2 a day, or less than $5 a day. That's moderate poverty. Sounds a little better than $1.25 a day, but that's not nearly enough to actually take care of yourself. Literally, these are some of the people in America today. The average person that lives on welfare today lives off $1.50 a minute. Times that by 3, that's basically $5. So 2.7 billion people live off nearly somewhere between $2 and $5 a day. And this last number of child homelessness, 100 million street kids in the world today. That's 100 million kids. You know, we talk all the time about, you know, kids don't do anything anymore. You know, these kids are just running around the streets ragged and everything else. Why they look so poor? Why they always robbing and stealing or selling drugs or something like that? Well, think about it. 100 million people. That's a third of the American population are street kids that are homeless, that can't provide for themselves because they're too young to work, that don't have family members that can even help them because their family members might be dead or enslaved or human trafficked somewhere else, or their parents might have died of some crazy disease that outbreak or something like that. That's 100 million kids that we need to learn how to take care of. And out of all these numbers, these are the people that I want to help. These are the lives that I want to change around the world. And this is why this is very important. One second. Okay, this is my idea for greenhouseship. Like it says right here, I want to end poverty, I want to eliminate world hunger, I want to reform third world countries, and I want to bring more freedom to island nations, just like I explained. You know, ending poverty is something you have to understand. Food grows from the earth. We don't necessarily have to do anything. All we have to do is plant seeds and let it do itself, and it'll be it.
I didn't touch it.
Oh. Yeah, no problem. Oh, it's on the time, that's fine.
He's like, oh.
That's amazing.
He's like, oh.
What a great idea. What a wonderful, what about the use of your time on this plan? This is fantastic.
But, we gave a quick answer without this on the common thing. But the thing is that this is the size of the ship I want, basically the aspect of the ship, the size of the cruise line. That's how I want these ships to be built. And the reason why I have this picture here is because this is an example of a body of how I want to use the ship. I want to be able to have food going all through here, from the floor of the ship itself and from the roofs. But I also want multi-layers of growing space. So this and this combined, but all this is going to be like almost like a sunroof of a car. Keep it good. Hit it 3 more times. Right to that one. 100 million street kids. These are the basic vegetables that I want to grow. And the reason why I have these pictures here is because these are examples of how simple foods, that are healthy foods that can grow. Tomatoes from top to certain plants. No, I know why I want to do this sometimes.
Billion lives on down.
I think your visuals are fantastic, though. I think your point is being.
It's up to 10 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Thank you, sweetheart.
Why you took the time, I'll tell you about the beginning, but I didn't even realize we're still on time.
And I don't know how to fix it.
Yeah, just use the space bar, I think. Oh, yeah.
Very cool.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
But again, these are the type of plants that I want to grow. And the reason why I have these plants looking like this is because carrots are actually purple in some places. Grapes are something that's very simple to grow. You know, they grow on vines, so they're very light. And dandelions, people don't understand that dandelions are overall health food that we can actually use. So those little dandelions that you see all in your yard and everything, you can actually take those up, and they have plenty of vitamins and nutrients that is just basic for our bodies. A lot of people don't understand that. That's what I'm.
Poisonous.
No, they're not.
Really?
No, they're not at all. Actually, some people take dandelions and make liquor out of it.
Yeah. And look at that. And soup with salad, yep.
Did you have a space ball? One time.
I think 11 is
Again? Okay. And this is how I plan on storing them. I want to have a big refrigerator on the ship that stores all these fruits to keep them fresh. Because if anybody's ever been a farmer or anything like that, or growing any food, the first thing you always want to do is freeze it. Because that is the freshest point when it comes right out of the ground. You freeze it, and that's how it stays fresh for a long time. Would you please space one? Right here. Again, billions live on $1.25. This is a quote that I have from Confucius. What you don't want to be done to yourself, do not do to others. Plain and simple. Nobody in this room wants to starve. Nobody in this room wants to be poor. Nobody wants their child to be homeless. Nobody wants to be stuck on an island where people can't enjoy their own lives. And I'm not saying people on islands don't enjoy their own lives, but there's a certain mentality that has to come with that aspect. You know, you still have to be responsible for your environment because you live on an island. You live on a enclosed space. You know, and that's the difference. These are the powers that I want to use to power the ship. Satellites, well, not really satellites, but solar panels. They're going to be the size of satellites. So I'm going to be able to have the same dish network that you have out, the same dish type of thing that you have out in your yard. I'm going to put a bunch of these on the ship. You know, and a lot of people don't really understand that these things are pretty powerful, especially nowadays. 1 or 2 of these can power a home. So imagine having 10, 15 on a ship. Wind power, again, I'm being on the ocean, so I don't have to worry about, you know, necessarily weather or anything like that. But wind power is something that I definitely want to use. And human power. I know this might not be the best example, but what I want to do is also put a weight room on the ship. Not necessarily a weight room, but a calisthenic room. Something like we have downstairs in our gym downstairs. But the thing is that I want people to be able to exercise, be comfortable, and be happy on the ship. So, you know, these are not warships. These are all peaceful ships, humanitarian ships. And what I want to do is be able to use that, whether it's a bicycle, a row machine, and pull-up bar, or something like that, that we can use to help build kinetic energy. Because basically, all this is pedals turning on something else to an alternator that's connected that creates, that carries the current. And that's all it is. Please. Right. These are other creature comforts that I want people to have. A round bed, because again, I want you guys to be able to live comfortable. Not you guys, but anybody that works on the ship. I want you to be able to live comfortable. You know, so I don't want you to sit there and think that you're going to be on some Navy shirt, some little tight bunk that's the size of the desk right here, something like that. I want you to be able to understand that you're going to have a nice, beautiful bed to live on. This is another example of how simple plants can grow. You know, just in a small pot like this, you have 15 tomatoes. Tomatoes on this one little plant. So imagine how much we can grow on a 365-day scale, or a 2-year scale, or, you know, 3-4 months. Another creature comfort is your bathtub. You gotta have to be able to clean yourself. And the reason why I have a round bathtub up here is because, one, I don't want you to knock yourself out. You know, but again, at the same time, I want you to be comfortable. I want you to be stylish. I want you to be able to have something that people never really see in their lifetime. Like I said, I was talking about 100 million street kids. Some kids can't take showers. You know, and not necessarily that I want to have kids working on the ship, but just imagine when you get to sit back in a round tub, relax from a hard day of work or something like that. It's a beautiful thing to see instead of sitting in a white square tub in your house or something like that. right here. One very important economic factor about this pyramid is that we have to understand history. Our history that we live in comes from agriculture. You would not have none of these cities, none of these nations, none of these tribal communities, nothing out here that was organized without agriculture. That's the very basic start of agriculture. The very basic start of civilization. Before agriculture, we were all nomads. We were all just roaming this earth, following the cow, the buffalo, the camel, or something like that, to constantly find food. But once people learned how to grow their own food, we became civilized. When I mean civilized, I mean that we stopped becoming nomads. We learned that we can sit in one place and live our lives and create our own education system, our own form of government, our own money, our own trade, our own way of life. The second here is the government. So once we get past this, once we get past the agriculture part, and I can have supermarkets and people actually eat food and, less than 3 billion people on this planet starving anymore, I can learn how to create sustainable governance. Because if you look around the country or around the world, these people are not just fighting just because they hate each other. They're fighting because they need food. They're going to the government, turning down governments, destroying malls, raiding ships, taking over ships and everything else like that because they want money so they can eat. They don't want money. They're not doing this stuff because they're just mean terrorists or anything like that. They're doing it because they're trying to defend themselves, because there's no other way for them to do anything in life. Because their basic survival right now is food. My last top pyramid right here is money. Everybody loves money. Money is one of those simple things in life. Of course, we've also lived on this earth. We've been on this earth for, millions of years already. And we never really had to worry about money. Money was something that was created a few thousand years ago. But money is something that really helps us live life a lot easier. We think less about stealing from people. We think more about innovation. And we can all be able to do what we want to do. We're all in this class nowadays, instead of, again, on a farm or something like that, or sitting around your mom's house because you have your money. You go out here and work, and you are now being educated off the work that you do, off that money that you created for yourself. Now you get to get your own education. And that's what I want people to do. Learn how to be economic independent. So I want to go from feeding people to creating a government to people being profitable. Next slide. Again, the same slide that I started with from the beginning. Now that you've seen kind of the graph of the entire concept of what I want to build, this is what I want you to see. These numbers right here. These are not small numbers. None of these numbers right here, this is the only number right here that comes close to our population in the U.S. We don't have 2.7 billion people in America. We don't have 1.3 billion people in America. We don't have 925 million people. We don't even have 650 million people in America. We only have 310 million people in America. So that means between 2 to maybe 4 times as many people in this world are starving right now. We need to be able to help these people. And even this number, 100 million, that's still a serious statistic. Because that means 1/3 of our world, or 1/3 of the people in our country, that would be living in our country, if you theoretically put it out, 1/3 of our population would be starving right now, or would be homeless. And these would be homeless kids. Next slide, please.
It's probably about 40 minutes.
This is the last one.
Maybe.
But this is what I mean right here. Thousands of greenhouse ships. Yes, I do have kind of a selfish aspect out of this. I want to be the first trillionaire on the planet. And I think this is one of the first ways that I could be a trillionaire. But at the same time, I do want to be a humanitarian on it too. And we all, like I said before, we all want to be economically independent. And I do too. But what better way to try to help people in the long run and help build, civilization. But these ships that you see all along here are my basic ideas. These are not actual representations. Again, 70% of the world is covered in water. And everybody kind of knows what's the size of a cruise ship. So when I say thousands of ships, thousands of greenhouse ships, this is a simple number to manipulate. And we can easily have 1,000 ships, at least 1,000 ships on the world. I've done this project a year ago, and I still been thinking about it every day. And the number that I come up with now is roughly about maybe 10,000 to 20,000 ships on the water. And these are places that are desolate places. You think of Antarctica. You know, we live up here in the north right now, and we still have a greenhouse right below us that stays warm. If anybody's ever worked in a greenhouse or ever been in a greenhouse in the wintertime, it's still like a summer-like temperature in those greenhouses, even in the summertime. Because what happens even in the wintertime, sunlight comes in, and that heat is just stored. That's why it's basically a greenhouse, because you have that internal combustion of heat and everything else, and, you know, a lot of those factors to it. But again, from the Antarctica all the way to the Arctic Circle, we can have greenhouse ships. All around these little island nations right here, we can have greenhouse ships. But these people are now feeding themselves. All along the African coastline, we can have greenhouse ships. All circling Australia, we can have greenhouse ships. All in the New Zealand and Polynesian areas, we can have greenhouse ships. All along China and everywhere else, we can have greenhouse ships. I'm not saying put these ships on rivers that are like the Mississippi River or, you know, the Nile River or something like that. I'm not saying any of that. I'm saying put these ships on the 7 great oceans that we have and let them go out. These places out here, very desolate. Nothing is out there. You know, we have places out here in the Indian Ocean that are very empty. Let us just enjoy those places. We'll just put greenhouses out here and just be able to have people create food for themselves and enjoy their lives. And once we can do that, we can create ports, and these nations will start to flourish. All these nations in Brazil, in Bolivia, and everywhere else like that, they can start to flourish. Because you also have to remember this. In the environmental long run, there's a lot of pollution on land that we can't use anymore. I have even more slides than this on the other side, and I will show that in other presentations, because I will want to actually do something like this again. But we have plenty of places in this world right now. We have the whole Sahara Desert, uninhabitable land. We have all the way up here in Russia where it freezes in the summertime, or in the wintertime. We have a place like Greenland out here that is still frozen. You know, we have the whole Antarctic that is still frozen, and we can't use any of these places. But then on top of that, in America, we have so much pollution out here. We had the Gulf of Mexico polluted 5 years ago. Still, we haven't really seen a huge recovery in fish and everything else out there. So we have to understand that pollution creates some of this problem, so that's man-made problem. But all this out here is untapped resources that we need to use, that we need to understand. We do that, we can fill these areas in with oil refineries and oil drilling and everything else like that, because oil isn't helping anything. We can't eat oil, we can't drink oil, but we can eat food, and we can drink grapes. You know, grape juice and strawberry juice and everything else like that. And that's my presentation.
See, the first time students are hearing this concept, and they'll say, I remember Kevin
Hey,
speaking
recording
about
now?
that.